Hi, I'm Ben, your faithful skeptic, and I've been thinking about what to talk about. My wife and I have recently, been chatting about this channel. What do we want for it, and what do we want to do? And she really felt God was kind of speaking to her about something. And the reality is, we've run into a lot of people. We have a lot of friends. And I'm not just bragging. No, but we know a lot of people who are on the full broad spectrum of faith, right? From, basically an atheist, right? Or an agnostic. Sorry, I have a light right there, so that's the big old shadow, because if I don't, you get that gnarly shadow. So, sorry about that. Raw. All right. Yeah, we've got people that we know that are on a full spectrum. People who profess no faith at all, or faith in a lack of faith. I could say. I want to speak charitably for those people, not in a disparaging way at all. And then people all the way across the spectrum who proclaim we're a committed believer in a Jewish person or a Christian, right? But sort of universally, one of the things I found is that a lot of folks have a really strong difficulty in trying to just like open up the Bible or the Torah, right, or the New Testament, the Old Testament, any of those things, and just read it to understand it. And it's hard, right, because out there you see all these different interpretations of things, and some people believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and some people believe it's millions. And how are Christians reading the same Bible yet coming to wildly different conclusions, right? Some believe that Jesus is going to come back. Some people in cults believe that Jesus already did come back spiritually in New York or something weird. And so there's this big challenge and confusion around, well, how do I just read? How do I understand the Bible? How do I understand what I'm looking at, right? And again, as a skeptic, please don't take anything that I'm going to say for granted here and just accept it. Don't trust me, right? But there are some things that I've learned that have really helped. And, as I've reflected on it today of kind of what to call it, how to talk about it, and kind of a video series to do on this, I've kind of come to the idea of we need to talk about fundamentals, right? What are our fundamentals? I'm not going to talk foundations. It's not like the foundations of faith, because I don't want to start with like systematic theology, right? That's not the right place to start, right? The first video I'm probably gonna do is a video called "Is God Good?" Because that was a question I was kind of asking some folks as I was telling them about this channel, and saying what would you want to hear, what would you want to learn, and I think this person was a person of faith, and they said, is God good? And I said, oh great, thanks. Just give me like the hardest thing in the world to start with. Gee, I appreciate that. But in all honesty, if you think about it, for those of us, or for those of anyone who doesn't have any faith to speak of in any kind of monotheistic God, they're like, well, if God's not good, I see terrible things around us all the time, like coronavirus, right? Thousands, tens of thousands of people dying worldwide from just this, along with all the other terrible stuff going on. Is God good? Because if God's not good, why should I read His Bible, right? So that's what I think I'm going to start with. Basically, like fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? What are the things that we kind of fundamentally need to understand? Not necessarily about the Bible per se, but just kind of how to think, how to approach it when trying to read it and understand it. And then I will get into it at some point for those folks who are interested in that. And I'm going to try to do it from that inductive side of things. Like, right, how would somebody as a skeptic kind of enter into even being willing to look at the Bible as any kind of authority on anything, let alone, not believe, I'm sure no one in that skeptical position starts with a belief that the Bible is the Word of God, right? They're probably going to ask, well, what is the Bible? And I want to get into that. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please come along for the ride. I hope it's fun. I'm going to try to keep these videos short and punchy and to the point on some really specific subjects. I'm just kind of verbal diarrheaing here, free flow thoughts. So if the video is janky or the audio is weird, well, guess what? I'm new at this, and you're going to see some amateurish behavior. I apologize in advance, but I really hope you'll come along for the ride. Again, this is going to be about the kind of the fundamentals. What are the basic things we need to kind of know and understand before we get into anything? Before how do we think before we try to apply that thinking critically to the Bible or any subject? So, as always, I'm Ben Reese. I've been thinking, and don't let anyone do your thinking for you.